Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
Another episode of Trash Talk. I'm TJ O'Connor. With me, as always, Damian the Wolverine Hill. And we're joined tonight by the wild child, Matt Gaffney, who's getting ready to get back into action here just next week, May 22. But before we get into that, got to go through the sponsors of the show: Valhalla Combat Sports, Ink Shrinks Tattoo, the Striking Institute, James Clark Sports Psychology and Hypnosis Therapy, the Fighters, and my mom. So, Matt, thanks for taking the time to join us. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's definitely been a long haul. I haven't fought since July of 2019, and I'm the head wrestling coach at a high school, Stockbridge High School, and our wrestling season was completely different this year, wearing masks and not wrestling as many matches. And so, yeah, I'm just really looking forward to getting back in there and showcasing my skills. Definitely worked real hard the last 2 years. With this COVID, I was starting to get frustrated. You're training so hard. It's like, well, when is the fight's gonna happen? When am I gonna get the fight? It's getting silly training so hard and having nothing scheduled. And then with now fights are starting to happen, but every other person's trying to find a fight too. So the first few opportunities I got were not the greatest financially wise, because talked to a few buddies about this. The supply is so high, and so fighters or promoters can pay little or and they control the game right now, because they have a big wide pool to pick from, because everybody hasn't fought in this a year and a half, or hats off to those guys who did find fights. But yeah, Wisconsin is finally holding their first one here in June. But so yeah, it's just very blessed to get the opportunity, and yeah, looking forward to main event. So
yeah. And it's been a crazy, like you said, it's been a crazy last year and a half. With fights, everybody going, and like you said, the guys that did get fights, it seems like they had to travel, and that's exactly what you had to do on this one. Like you said, your main event in this card, you're going in there, you're fighting the hometown guy. How exactly did this fight fall into place? You mentioned, right now promoters kind of have their pick of fighters. So how were you able to ultimately get this fight, and what do you know about your opponent going into this one?
So yeah, that's a good question. A lot of people ask, like, how do you find your fights, or how does it go about? So right now I manage myself pretty much. I just go on Facebook and part of those few groups, like looking for a fight or book a fight. And when I'm fight ready, I'll send it out there. Hey, this is my weight class, this is my record, from Wisconsin, willing to travel, things like that. And you just cross your fingers and hope you get a hit on it. And then vice versa as well. Some promoters will say, "Hey, looking for a 145 or looking for a 150," and I'll just direct message those guys. There's a lot of friends, promoters and I'm sure Damian can agree to this, with being a fighter, trying to find a fight. There's a lot of dudes on my friend list that no idea who they are, but they're promoters, so I'm gonna add them and see if they can help me out. So yeah. It was pretty awesome. I was, I got like I said, I got a few offers. Like wanted to go to Kentucky and for like 3-3, and I'm like, well, I made my pro debut. Not that we need to get into money, but I made my pro debut 10 plus years ago for 4-4. So like to not fight for less than that, at least.
Yeah.
Money, like it can pay whatever, because there's dudes out there willing to fight for that. But yeah, so a little bit of a story, but my fiance and I were going to do some clothes shopping, and I looked down at my phone and I'm like, son of a bitch. And I don't know if we can swear on here, but
Yeah.
son of a bitch.
Yeah.
She's like, what? The best fight opportunity I've gotten is going to be when we're in Florida, because we had my mom lives in Florida. Shout out to my mom. So Leah, my fiance Leah's like, if you want it, take it. And I'm like, amen. That's all you gotta say. So I'm gonna fight May 22nd, and then I'm gonna fly to Florida the day after to go visit my mom, and we're gonna spend a vacation. So it's a win-win. But yeah, it's tough with so I'm at two different gyms right now. I train at Stronghold Jiu-Jitsu in DeForest with Wade Barden, and then I'm in Lodi with Nate Gint out of Damage Inc. Fight Club. And I just remember being in the gym in like March and April. I'm like, hitting real hard. I'm like, this is stupid. Like, I should need to fight. It's like everyone's like, be patient, it'll come. And so it's just awesome to be, 2 weeks out here and yeah, ready to. When you guys introduce me as a wild child, I smile every time I hear that because he doesn't get to come out very, very often. So I'm looking forward to letting him shine. So.
Oh yeah, well, dude, it's gonna be great to see the wild child be finally let loose again. And then
Yeah.
I kind of got a two-parter because you have fought at catch weights, and I feel like multiple weight classes. One, how many weight classes have you actually fought at, and what weight class will this fight be at? And then two, with you being a wrestling coach and all that, how did you even get into fighting? So that's my two-parter.
Yeah, so I guess we'll start with the last one there. So I was a state champion wrestler, a lot of success. Ever since I was 12 years old, I just dreamed about wrestling in college. And, not that I need to go to accolades, but three-time state qualifier, took third as a junior, won it as a senior, and then kind of forgot about the grades part of things. And went from the highest high to the lowest low in the same night. I had my state championship bracket in my hand and my gold medal. And you guys from Minnesota, Marty Morgan, was the assistant coach at University of Minnesota. And he asked me two questions. He said, "What's your GPA and what's your ACT score?" And I told him, and he's like, we're not going to be able to get you into school. And that's after being recruited by the Gophers for 3 years. Joe Russell, and went to the Jay Robinson wrestling camps, and
Yeah.
so and then that first year out of high school was tough for me. A little bit of personal stuff. Got diagnosed with bipolar and went through some tough times, and gained a lot of weight. I went from it's good to get this shit out, man. I've told my closest friends, but it's good to get it out, man. I once stayed at 130 pounds, and within a year, I was 177 pounds of fat, and it's dark times. And then I'm like, man, I gotta do something. I gotta figure something out. I didn't get the wrestling in college. It still eats at you a little bit, but told myself if I get down to 165, I'll join the local MMA gym in town. That was next level martial arts. So I got my butt down to 165, started training, and 3 months later, I had my first amateur MMA fight. So the sport was awesome for me. It still continues to be. The biggest reason I started fighting is I just wanted to be an athlete still. I knew God gifted me with a lot of good skills and hard work ethic and, those life skills that wrestling teaches you, and just kind of fell in love with it. I'm like, man, I get to take people down and choke them out, and then learn how to punch, learn how to strike. And that was a skill in itself and a transition period in itself. Because I know, Damien, you wrestled, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
you grow up
Middle school and high school.
in the States like this to up like this. It's an adjustment period. So, but yeah, it just kind of, once I started at 19 years old, it just kind of took off. I only had 2 amateur fights. I won both those fairly easy, and then I went pro right away, which is a mistake for you AMI fighters out there. Make sure you get 5 to 10 AMI fights in before you go pro. So then started off a little bit rough, 0-4. Fought Nick Kirk for my pro debut. So Minnesota boys, that's not your easiest debut. Went to a decision with him. I fought Tony Zielinski. A lot of guys who, a lot of veterans. So I think 3 out of my first 4 losses, those guys went on to fight for Bellator. So it's not like I was getting butt kicked. I think it was just an experience thing. And then I rattled off 4 in a row, and now we're here. I lost my last 3. So we got to get a win now. Let's do or die. It's put up or shut up. Going to another one of the Damien's questions was weight classes. So yeah, I started out my amateur career at 145, and then when I went pro, with I think it was at a catch at 40, and then the plan was always to go 35. So yeah, and then my next 3 were at 35, and it was not fun. Like I think and I started getting into lifting weights a little bit. I'm like, man, this is still sitting in a sauna all the time, running all the time, and you get older, you get bigger. So I finally, after losing 4 in a row, I'm like, I gotta do something different. I went up to 45 and won 4 in a row. So, yeah, and then I think I fought at a couple catch weights. I fought Jonas Flock at 150. I think I fought Adrian Ortega at 150. So yeah, I prefer 145, but if things come up at 50, that's not a problem for me. I usually walk around between 65 and 70. So yeah, it's 45 is my weight class, but this one's at 150.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, one of the things that I want to touch on is starting off your career with kind of a rough start and then going on a little bit of a run right there. I mean, it's one of those things. Me and TJ have talked about it before we even started this interview, where the ups and downs of a fighter, it's like that's what motivates a guy a lot more than you see when somebody is just winning consistently or when they're winning, I guess, safely. You known to bring it, and I don't know, you bring something special in the cage, win, lose, or draw. I guess, where do you feel more comfortable?
I would say probably, I mean, being a wrestler and I've been working jujitsu real hard these last few years. I just got my brown belt back in the early last summer or whatever, and I got my first stripe not a few months ago. So I think my jiu-jitsu is really coming along. I did a jiu-jitsu tournament. I did Grappling Industries about a month ago and took third in the no-gi advance. And so I think the ground is obviously always going to be the comfort zone. But when I hooked up with Damage Inc. Out of Lodi there, I really, really tried to focus on improving as a striker. And I have heavy hands, and I have a head kick knockout. I can stand and bang, but I think, obviously wrestling and being on the ground. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, the way you make it and the way you get more fans and those big organizations start calling, they want to see knockouts. They want to see strikers. So yeah, I think, it's mixed martial arts for a reason, and the fight starts on your feet. So you got to be able to adapt at all levels of the sport.
Well, and then
Not
also
much,
with
but
sorry.
what's that?
Sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was gonna say also with being a brown belt, dude, being a guy that gets a lot of submission wins has never hurt anybody ever. I mean, dude, it's finishers. What was it? Kenny Florian. I mean, people.
Okay.
A lot of people don't remember, dude. He used to finish motherfuckers all the time, and I mean, okay, that doesn't go into a question. I didn't have a question. I'm just saying stuff now. But yeah.
No, I love it. Like I said, just talking. It's not. I'm sorry. I love it. It sounds like you're in a great mindset. You talked about the roller coaster that's been it. It sounds like everything's really fallen into place for this fight. I feel like talking about this fight a little bit. I feel like it's a perfect setup. You talked about you're on a couple fight skid, looking to get back into it. So is your opponent in this case. I feel like it's a very fair fight, and that's not something you normally get when you get flown out to fight a guy in his hometown. So going into this, mentioning your style, what type of fight do you expect? And what's the one thing that you got to bring with you out to Pennsylvania to get your hand raised?
So did a little bit of scouting on this guy. Like you said, it's a fair match. matchup. That's what drew me to this. It's not like you're getting flown in for that 12-3 guy who's just looking for another W.
Yep.
This guy's Ethan. He lost his last two, and I've lost my last three. He's 5-6. I'm 4-7. Yeah, everything just made sense when you sign that dotted line, and that's the kind of fight that you want. You don't want any doubts, and so it's as far as film on him. He throws a lot of kicks. He's a little bit taller than me. He's 5'10", so I expect him to start striking. Yeah, I expect. I mean, every film that I watched on him, he was a striker. But and as you guys know, when that cage door closes, expect anything. It has been a lockdown of COVID. Maybe he's been working wrestling. I know he does have some wins by submission as well, so I know he's comfortable. The film I watched, I saw a good fighter. I've never been much of a trash talker, unless you catch me on the wrong day. But pretty good mood lately. Pretty focused, and that's what's sad about the sport. The more you talk bad, and the more sometimes more fans and sell tickets. But I watched this dude's interview, and he reminded me a lot of myself. He said he was self-employed, works for his dad at his landscaping company, and I'm self-employed. I work for my dad. He's a mechanic. So just two blue collar dudes going at it, and looking forward to it. Yeah, what more can you ask for? He seems respectful, and I'm respectful, but when the wild child's out, he's out. So
They call him the wild child for a
what I
reason.
do to get my hand raised, just stay focused and stay. I know when I'm having fun in there, and and I fight to my ability, I'm gonna get my hand raised. I know Cowboy Cerrone talks about it a lot, is the anxiety and the nerves you get from fighting. And that's kind of what you love about it. There's no other sport that can make you feel like that. You can play basketball, kind of like the old saying, like you can play basketball, you can play baseball, but not everyone wrestles. Same with fighting. Not everyone fights. One of my favorite quotes is, "You don't know much about yourself till you've been punched in the mouth." It's a different thing, man. It's just, that's what I love about it. It's challenging. Talking to someone, I think my brother Mike. He's like, "I know you love to challenge yourself," because he kind of helps me, kind of guides me. We're real close as far as taking matchups and stuff. So I always shoot him a text or give him a call, and he's like, he's obviously my big brother. So I got 4 older brothers. They all worry about me sometimes, but he's like, "I know you love it. I know you've been training your ass off. So go ahead and challenge yourself," and that's what I'm doing. And it's one fight at a time from here on out. Try not to look past anybody, and yeah, just looking forward to it.
I love it. I'm feeling the energy through the computer right now. I mean,
Yeah.
we're just over 2 weeks away from the fight, so I can only imagine how you're feeling. Getting ready to make that walk again. Before I forget to ask, how can people watch this fight? Is this going to be streamed? How can the local fans in Wisconsin and of course here in Minnesota, how can they watch you compete on the 22nd?
Yeah, there's so it's 247 Fighting Championships. I think that's the website, is 247fightingchampionships.com. Don't quote me on that, but it is. If you type in 247 Fighting Championships on Google, you'll get to the website, and then you can even type pay-per-view after that, and it'll click up, and it's $25. So yeah, it is on pay-per-view. That's pretty tight. I was telling my fans and my family, like, this is the first fight I'll be flying out to, and it's the first time I'll be on pay-per-view. So it's a couple of firsts in my book, and it's all coming together. Picked up a few extra sponsors for this fight, and I really appreciate that. So
Dude, that's fucking exciting, dude. That adds to the fucking story of the fight. I love it. I mean, if I wasn't sold before, which I was, I'm sold now, dude. Like I'm excited to see you go out there and collect a W, and then on top of that, the whatever the streaming platform is, We will figure that out, and it will be located in the description in this video. I promise you guys, it'll be there. And then, damn, I don't have another question, but I just had to say that. I make sure people know where to watch this.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be straight there below, like Damien said in the comments. He's going to be the one doing it, so hold him to it. And like I said, I'm very excited, man. I can only imagine how you're feeling. Before we begin to wrap this up here tonight, though, we always like to give that open platform to thank any sponsors, teammates, anybody outside the gym that's been there for you leading up to this one. So with that, the platform is yours, sir.
Appreciate it. One of the sponsors is Riley's Bar and Grill in Portage, Wisconsin. They've been one of my day one sponsors. Before I got sober, I used to partake in a few adult beverages there, but I'm clean and sober now, but they're still a sponsor. Shout out to Riley's. Shout out to my dad, Joe's Auto and Truck. I can't, without getting teary-eyed, I can't thank my dad enough. He's supported me when I'm down. He supported me when I'm up, and he does a lot for me. He's paid for trips out to Alpha Male to train with Faber and then the boys out there, and he continues to support my fight career. He knows it's important to me, and he, just like with wrestling, he's always there for me. Couple new sponsors, Lacey Kohler Photography. They help me with my travel and my hotel for this fight in Pennsylvania. What are the other ones? Blanking on. Mickey Magnum, Nate Gint. He's my kickboxing coach. He helped pay for my hotel as well. Check out Mickey Magnum. He's a rock star, man. He's a hell of a kickboxing coach, and he's even a better musician. He's just a cool dude, man. So check out Mickey Magnum. They got all their songs on YouTube, and he's actually in the concert right now. So he's a good dude. One independent sponsor, I'm not going to mention his name, but he also helped me out with the flight. And I believe I have one more sponsor coming in, but I'm not going to mention it yet. But yeah, just shout out to my team, both teams. I was just writing about this in a Facebook post the other day. I'm very blessed to be a part of not only, some people just have one gym, but I got two, Stronghold Jiu-Jitsu in DeForest, Wade Barden, high level black belt. He's been one of my day one coaches back to the next level days. And then Damage Inc., Nate Gint again. And I do want to make sure I mention Sterling Fisher. He's my nutritionist. I never thought I would ever be eating this clean. So thank you, Sterl. He's done all my meal prepping. He's finally put the last piece of the puzzle for the wild child. I've never been in this good of shape. I know everyone says that, but it's true. Never been this confident eating healthy, and he's going to be my cornerman out in Pennsylvania. So thanks again, Sterl. Thank you to my fiance, Leah. I'm in her office right now. She's a hardworking accountant, and she busts her ass for our family. So looking forward to saying I do with her in about a year and a half. Shout out to my four brothers, Brian, Mike, Jeff, and Adam. Without you guys, I wouldn't be anything. And I always said, until the day I get in that cage and someone big brothers me, like someone really busts me up, I'm not quitting. So there's nothing these opponents can do to me that my four brothers didn't do to me when I was younger. So the youngest is always the toughest. So, but yeah, that's all I got. And then Nick Hebe, he's my other day one next level coach. I hit mitts with him this morning. So thank you, Nick. Thank you to all my training partners, and thank you to you guys, man. I've been fighting since 2009, and this is the first actual social media interview I've done. So I really appreciate you guys. You guys are doing big things. As soon as you started getting on the scene, I followed you, and I mean, this is awesome. Local guys. I shout out to Damien, man. You're a pioneer of this sport, man. I looked up to you. I might have even fought on some of the same cards. I know you know Nick Kirk and Tiva and them boys up in Minnesota. So yeah, you're a fucking awesome fighter, man, and proud of you, and just thank you for getting me on here.
Dude, I honestly, I'm blushing right now. I appreciate it, man. I don't know what to say, dude. Thank you, and I thank you for being on the show, dude. We are nothing without the fighters, man. Like, oh, I can't express that enough. TJ, you have to sign us off, man.
Yeah, no, Damien said it best. Thank you. We're nothing without the fighters. At that point, we're just two assholes talking on camera. So we appreciate you bringing this in, and I'm so glad to hear that support team you have around you. You're only as good as the people around you, and it sounds like you're in a great spot. So I'm looking forward to tuning in to the fights here on May 22nd. We're going to be cheering you on here from Trash Talk, and best of skill to you. If you're watching this video, like it below. If you haven't yet, subscribe to Trash Talk with Damien and TJ. What are you even doing with your life? And most importantly, don't be a hoe.
Thank you, TJ. Thank you, boys.